one.
First time's a charm.
There's some mustard on that one.
Yeah.
My heart is beating a little bit faster than it typically does right now. And once upon a time, I used to be afraid of that shit. I would like run away, talk about fight or flight. That was my thing when that heart would start pitter-pattering away. And then I encountered this gentleman to my right, Mr. Daniel Eisenman, and he used this phrase, something along the lines of, follow the heartbeat. The heartbeat.
The heartbeat?
The heartbeat, that's like breath, beat, and breathe all in one. So.
And he took it a step further, like, can you make it increase? Can you increase your heartbeat and increase those sensations? I'm like, what is this guy talking about? I want to do the opposite. And then I found out why. I started experiencing it.
So yeah, my like view of Daniel was in the title of the video. I truly see Daniel as a social and chemical reagent, which is why I believe he's named himself the Freedom Catalyst. Because just even his presence, and I've been lucky enough to be in a lot of retreat settings with him, but just his presence in general, like crazy things start happening. And let alone when he starts speaking, then the language gets supercharged, and man, you better run for cover if you want a slow heartbeat, like Jordan's saying, because it ain't gonna happen.
Dodging bullets.
It just ain't gonna happen.
What's up, Dylan? Ashley? We like to make these interactive, so if you got some questions or you want to interact with us, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I also love this little joy right here, Davina.
Get the baby.
I'm curious. I have a question arising. What are some things that some insights that you've gained from having this blessing of a child?
Oh man. Well, one is if I can look at y'all with the same love or somewhat close to the same love that I have for her, then I'm living a really good life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah, and I don't know if other parents are watching this. I would love, like Ryan said, I would love to make it interactive, but if they can relate to that, and what that does is also open me up to the reality that we are, like, every human being is part of my family. Well, everything is part of my family. The human beings, animals, plants, and how I can, and I think she's like epitomizing how I can treat a family member, so I can aim to do that with everyone.
It's funny that you say that. I'm like, we've talked about this. I've certainly said this. I noticed a shift in you when you first got Oriah. There was like this opening of your heart, and maybe this is also just a byproduct of me getting to know you more and becoming better friends with you. But it felt like you opened up more. Like there was some love that was like bursting forth that I hadn't seen. And so that started, and then when Davina came along, it was like, oh shit, like the floodgates open.
That's a
I feel
good
like
point.
I've connected with you so much deeper since then.
That's a really good point. I can actually second that, because my first interaction with you was very brief at the Bulletproof conference like 4 years ago. And then seeing you at a retreat right before you had Davina, and this was before Oriah, I think, too. I experienced you as very like sharp and like maybe a little dangerous. Like maybe you were like a chemical in the lab that like if you dropped it, it might blow up the whole lab. I love this reagent riff. I'm gonna keep going. And then I agree, when you got Oriah and like you were like so, I remember you're so into training her. Oriah is his pit bull, by the way. I hope she runs in at some point. Much like the big man, our pit bull, like we love her so much.
Yeah, me.
But when you got Oriah, I noticed like what I want to name the father archetype really come into fruition for you.
Definitely.
Yeah, I resonate with so much of that, and I was thinking while y'all were expressing that, it's like since y'all, you admittedly, it's obvious how much they love their pit bull, and it's funny that my heart opened up so much once I got a pit bull.
Yeah. Wow.
And I actually believe what y'all are saying too, but I was wondering how much of like the projection,
like a transference of it,
how much
yeah.
you love Biggie. He's like, look at him, he has a pit bull now, he loves her. And his heart is huge.
Touche.
So
That's a great point.
We're getting our heart on. Our hearts on.
It's true. It's true.
Eddie said that wait till she goes to school. That's when things will start to flip.
Your world's gonna flip.
Oh yeah,
I wonder what Eddie means by that.
He's really stirring the fire with that one. He's about to get some reagencies. Yeah, well, first of all, I would say she is at school. Like we're all at school right now, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I would say, yeah, flip. Everything's changing all the time, being the reagent. And I definitely, if that's like a projection, I'm talking about projections. That's what I hear in that type of comment, which is like how he experienced it. And I imagine for Eddie, if you're listening, I imagine someone told you that would happen. And maybe whoever told you that, they told them that. And then I do believe in the power of placebo, so let's say that. So what I'm also saying is I'm not going to take your projection as my placebo.
That's a tagline.
Well, you
Your
just
projection is not my placebo. Oh, it's cool. You saw it live.
You just experienced what I experience with him on a daily basis. And if you've been watching any of his videos with the quantum consultations, he drops these one-liners and these like little riffs on language where I'm like, what? Like, where did that come from? And it blows me away.
So Eddie responds, says he has 2 kids.
Yeah, and I'm not undermining Eddie's experience. Like I bet Eddie would everything that you are talking about is true for you. But what's true for you, especially if it was a painful past that you're ready to let go of, is definitely not going to be my future reality. Because I'm going to choose something new, and it's people that are willing to be transparent about their past truths that allow me to upgrade my future truth.
Wow.
So yeah, I appreciate. I'm not saying Eddie's not telling the truth about it, but when he's trying to tell me that's how it's going to be for me, that's where I start paying real attention and be very careful about what I listen to and what I receive, and then what I sometimes step up and tell people, no, that's not for me.
All right. So this is an idea that we can unpack quite a bit, and I think that many people that I've encountered aren't really familiar with what the term projection means. Like I've experienced, we say, oh, that's a projection, and I think we've kind of trained each other to not get triggered, like, oh, I'm not projecting.
Yeah.
But other people I've noticed, if you say you're projecting, it's like a negative connotation, so to speak. But projections is a very like real thing. I think the more that we play with language and like do what Daniel just did, it's kind of like, it's powerful to see, wow, one person's like experience is not at all necessarily going to be my experience.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things, the most tangible things I've picked up from Daniel is this idea of I statements. And instead of saying you, and that's a perfect segue from the projections, a lot of people I've found, myself included in the past, would say things like, you know when this happens and you do this and then you do that? And what I've heard from him is flipping that around. Well, what do you mean you? Are you telling me I? Like you're speaking to me as in I'm the one? It's like, no, speak on behalf of yourself. And it's a powerful flip on interacting with people and speaking from your personal experience instead of projecting that on somebody else and masking it with the you, so that you're not really like owning your experience, but you're putting it on them.
This is like maybe the juiciest.
You love the word juicy lately.
Juicy. Jess Martinez, I love you. I picked that up from you if you're watching this. Juicy and delicious, guys.
So juicy.
This is a juicy live video. I think we have some people that already know that.
I'm moist. What?
And I would say, like, what we're really pointing at, which I think is the deepest truth so far, is that everything I say is about me.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I have to second what Jordan's saying, and like, I imagine Eddie, you may have just had an experience in these comments. And I want to give you love, brother, because I know you just came into our sphere, and I got big hopes for you, brother.
Yeah.
What Daniel has maybe taught me, or maybe I taught myself, was in his presence, was the disentanglement of pronouns. And so I see him as like a pronoun word wizard. And being a word wizard myself, I'm like, man, I should look at his spell books and maybe learn a few new spells.
What I just heard you do is you shit on yourself.
Wow.
Got him.
Maybe I get to learn a few spells
And there
by
is
noticing
something
powerful ones.
on the spelling of the word pronoun. It's like these are pronouns. These are nouns or pros. Professionals.
You need a license to
Step up.
use this pronoun.
And then, speaking of pros, I saw this awesome meme today that's really resonating with me. It was like a picture of Leonardo DiCaprio, and I think the text was something along the lines of, the 97% of people who gave up are employed by the 3% that never gave up.
Ooh.
And I was thinking, I was like, I wonder, and I actually disagree with that. I would say it's 98% and 2%. And I would say, I wonder if the 2% are the ones that are actually pros with their nouns.
Wow.
Anyways, it was some fun.
Wow.
Fun.
I gotta point out the hilarious thing here, which is that prose is when you write in a narrative. Like, come on! Language is magic, and I see T Mang has dropped in.
We had a couple of other comments. So Eddie was
All right,
giving
so
us love.
let's check in
Thank you
super
for that,
fast.
Eddie.
Your projection's not my placebo. People are loving that. That picked up. Eddie says, I have 2 kids, 13 and 11. It's not painful when they're going to school. I'm just saying it's going to be a trip.
Oh, and then we can also talk
going to be
about
a trip.
school. And first of all, I am in school. Like, she is my teacher, and I'm in school. And I don't know if that actually.
You want
I
to say
don't-
hi, Mama? Or no?
Yeah, this is the lovely mom.
There she is.
She created this thing.
Yeah.
Actually, right back there, it came right out of it. Right there.
Wow.
Actually, the bed that she came out of is now in our home.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
we're the next
Oh, I
door
never
neighbors.
pieced that one
Isn't that
together.
upstairs?
It
and y'all's
is.
creative?
It is.
Yeah.
Is that why I keep having dreams about
There's a lot of
wombs?
creativity that's being birthed there.
100%. Very
Whoa.
Someone
Whoa.
right
We
now-
can unpack that in another 2-hour live video. But so
we got
Eddie,
a bunch.
clearly we're gonna have a trip. I see what you're saying there. Krista, there's a moment of complete panic when you realize your baby is out in the world. A new level of love opens as your child ages.
So this is actually a great example to unpack the
Brian loves to unpack
expression.
things, by the way.
Yes, that Krista just gave. So this is something that I've noticed many people in our society do, including myself. They say, so she says, they're in a complete panic when you realize your baby is out in the
Yeah,
world.
exactly.
So what I think Krista is actually saying, though, that she had a moment of complete panic when she realized her baby was out in the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Krista could have used an I statement, maybe.
Basically, when she by you, she means you. By
Yeah.
you, by Crystal, by you, you mean you.
Belinda loves things that are juicy and delicious, as do I, Belinda. Eddie says I love words. We do too. So T Mang, and this is actually Daniel's little brother. T Mang says, so stoked to experience the next international tribe design with all of y'all. We have more spots in the circle for anyone who's ready to confess. So Timothy, I imagine your intentions are pure, but I noticed that you're sales pitching in this video.
Ooh.
And I don't know what else I feel about that.
So what I heard was that you think sales pitching is not pure.
Wow. Wow, this is like a math equation. And you're right. Maybe a part of me thinks that. There, I said it.
That would probably make your next sales pitch better.
Wow. Now I wish we had a link to click. All right.
We just made Timothy. Yeah, exactly. Deanna said Timothy will take care of that. Timothy?
Yeah.
Timothy, if you just kindly post the link, we can move on.
Yeah.
I do want to.
InternationalTribeDesign.com.
Yeah.
Yes. And I guess this is a good time to talk about that. January 4th to 8th in Maui, center of the island. What's the retreat center? It's some
It's
ancient
called
continent.
Lumeria.
Lumeria.
And there's a really mystical history to the whole area. I see what you did there. Yeah.
Sure.
Very fascinating.
So this is a beloved community that we've been a part of now for what, almost 2 years. That is kind of like, if this is the NFL of retreats, then International Tribe Design's kind of become the Super Bowl
Come on now.
each year.
And I did say mystical. I wanted to clarify, like y'all did your last event yesterday at an amazing mansion, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is very high end too. I don't want people to think we're going because there are very some mystical like leprechaun tunnels in Maui. It's not like we're gonna go camp in the woods. We actually have the retreat center is extremely nice as well.
It's luxury.
Yes.
So George says, hello guys, shout outs from Los Angeles. Arthur, what's up?
Yeah.
George just came into our feed this today, so
Yeah.
thanks for coming back, George.
Serena says the whole life is a trip with the
Yeah.
girl over her head emoji. That's
So-
not sure what's going on there.
They are.
Sales pitching is not pure. Eddie
So there
agrees.
seems to be some energy around sales pitching. I actually am fascinated by
Here we
this
go.
concept. And
CEO
so
time.
I'd love to talk about it a little bit because I noticed myself having challenges with that feeling that Eddie just expressed. Yeah, I felt that too, and I don't know exactly where that comes from. I'm always trying to go inside and be like, what is that? Where does that come from that it feels this? I wouldn't call it impure, but sometimes I'm unsure of how to do it. So
Nice. I was also honoring the creative constraint.
Yes.
9 minutes remain in this
awesome.
video.
Oh yeah, my belief right now is we are pitching ourselves and we are
100%.
selling ourselves. We are seeing if we can get you to trade, like to pay your time to us and your attention to us. And then what's more important than that? What's more important than someone feeling important enough for us to give them that gift? So yeah, this is a pitch in my opinion.
And I'm hearing something you've told me many times, and I've dabbled in his work, but Grant Cardone, like everything in life is actually a sales pitch, from one perspective, right? Like you're always selling, right? Selling, like in that right now, I want to sell you on this idea because I think it's actually psychologically been validated in my life. So I'm going to try to sell you on it by powerfully expressing it. Also, you may have been sold by clicking watch on this live video because you just sold me your attention.
But honestly, what's a more valuable asset than our time?
It's the most
It is
precious.
the
human
So
resource.
whoever's watching this right now is sold. You're sold by giving your time to us. And I highly appreciate you for it because I believe I'm doing the same for you. And what a beautiful synergy it is.
Yes.
And I do think there are certain taboo topics like money.
Very
Wow, that's a great title of a book. If anyone's paying attention, Money, the Ultimate Taboo.
So selling
That's a
time
book.
seems to be like more than normal, but selling money can bring up stuff for people.
Yeah, so Eddie said I have a hard time charging people when I record them. I don't know if that means that Eddie's a videographer, but I would love to hear more about that. Krista says authentic sales pitching is pure in my opinion. You guys are selling from your hearts. Thank you, Krista. I want to just say one more thing about that. This is what rings most true to me. Is right now as I'm speaking to you, like I actually want you to pay attention to me and to believe what I'm saying. Why? Because I believe what I'm saying. That's probably my biggest goal in life, is to be as authentic in every moment as I possibly can. So therefore, yes, I want you to be sold on the truth that I'm speaking because I'm sold on my own truth. So I don't know if that makes sense. It's a little rambly, but
I get it.
Oh, I heard.
Ryan, I felt your heart.
I heard you.
I don't know if it needed to make sense.
Deanna was also looking for the giraffe.
Yeah.
The baby giraffe.
So I want to circle back and like,
Ate it.
Oh, Ryan ate it. The son of a gun.
so Araya just ate the baby's new toy. Wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the first time. Araya is a savage, and I love her.
Eddie records music. Eddie, I'd love for you to send me a personal message with any links to your music. I'd love to check
I
it
feel
out,
a
brother.
bromance budding between you and Eddie.
Yeah, I appreciate Eddie's honesty. The dude has very honest expression. So
No, Eddie, you're totally a misfit, man. I'm stoked on you. So
I want
I
to see Eddie and Maui because if you're experiencing anything like we are now, the phone is an awesome tool, and there's something to be said about like face to face in the same
100%.
space.
There's no
Totally.
Yeah.
So I want to circle back because we have 5 minutes remaining, 6 minutes and counting. And I want to point out here for me, like this is an epic little demo on the power of language and its intentional usage. Like pronouns, reframing words, like maybe the sales pitch conversation, that's a whole energetic vortex. Like a lot of what we've experienced with Daniel, or what I've experienced with Daniel, let me do
There
it in
he
real
is.
time. What I've experienced with Daniel is that at events, first as an attendee, and then as like kind of a co-facilitator of some kind, I've just become more aware of my language and just awareness. And then I started to play a little more and get a little more intentional, get a more radical, time my language, pause more, word usage.
Yeah.
And this has been maybe the most valuable thing I've done over the past year. Maybe the most valuable thing. Because I'm using language all the time. And it's not just speech, it's in my writing too. And that's, wow, what a great level up.
yeah, something's coming up, and I actually want to ask Daniel this question. So somebody gave me this term the other day. I always forget his name. Jiro Taylor.
Jiro, yeah.
Jiro, yeah.
Full State Collective.
Oh, wow.
I met Jiro and Maui.
Oh, you- Shocker.
Shocker.
All right,
Shocker.
all right. But Jiro told me about this concept called words having an energetic signature.
Ooh.
Right, each word. And I'll demo for you right now.
Uh-oh.
I'll say, if I were to say
Live
the
demo.
word, I want you to just watch what happens in your body when I say this word. Fuck.
I knew it.
Oh my god.
My watch buzzed when you did that.
Alright, so that's the
serious
energy. Or the other one is that I really love and appreciate all you for spending this time with us. Especially you, Daniel, right now, man. This has been, I don't think we've ever actually done this before, despite being friends for now years.
Oh, really? Wow.
And despite living
single by
15 feet
8%.
away.
That's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. Breaking normal.
Yeah, so what about this idea of energetic signatures? Or just charges?
Well, words having some kind of energetic signature.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure. For sure. I mean, first of all, if from what I've seen from my life is the words with the least amount of letters mean the most. So I am, no, yes.
That's very fascinating.
And like And I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, something I was just thinking of that's like a more subtle example of this is the use of "I'm sorry." I just showed Kevin a video that I filmed around this concept.
It's a dope video.
Of the epidemic, if you will, people saying "I'm sorry" for everything. Like you kind of like graze someone's arms and walk by, "Oh, I'm sorry." It's like almost like a panic. You're saying "I am sorry." You're a state of being that I am sorry. And it's just used so lightly.
Yeah, and
it doesn't mean anything.
I think about the Bible, or really any sacred text, but think about the Bible, like my understanding of the Bible is first was the word that was spoken, and when God is even asked who is he, or who is God, I am that I am.
Yeah.
And to think about that, like, people are unconsciously repeating that.
Can you speak on that a little bit more? Because I feel like maybe like I wasn't fully clear on that, so maybe people watching.
Okay, because I really do believe we are, and I'm saying the Bible references this very strongly, and as do I believe almost every spiritual text does. But yes, by what we are saying, we are praying. So we are casting spells with our words.
Yeah.
And some people are casting spells of in the past, I believe a lot of people used to cast spells of self-sabotage without even knowing what they were doing, without even thinking about it. And what I would say, to just embody this experience a bit more, I would challenge myself and y'all and everyone listening to see if you can listen to what you're saying.
Wow.
Be a witness.
Because I think
words.
when people say the sorry thing like that, they're not even hearing what they're saying.
100%.
They might not, like, if I ask them why, if you ask them to backtrack, they might not have a memory of it. And maybe that's what someone is that's sorry, they forgot.
This is totally verified by my direct experience. I was just in Texas, my whole extended family, and I pulled a few tiny maneuvers like this, where I was like, that's an interesting way to say that, or like, I like pointed out their language, like, I'm sorry. And not only did they be like, what are you talking about? It flipped completely to like, are you trying to psychoanalyze this person? Like, what's going on here? And I was like, what did I just touch? Like, I literally asked this like a childlike question, and it like activated crazy amounts of energy of like dismissal, maybe even judgment. And I kind of like chuckled to myself. I was like, man.
And this is really important. So can you hold the space for them while they do experience that? And that, I think for some people that can hold it at a certain level, they can be called like healers. Maybe another level, they would call themselves psychoanalysts. Maybe another level, a psychiatrist. Maybe another level, a shaman. Another level, an exorcist. Like, how much space can you hold for someone to be triggered by something that's like mind-blowingly small?
Oh, wow. Wow. Something to extract here. The things with the least have the most power. The least letters, the most powerful words. I think that feels like in my gut and heart true, because the larger a word gets, you always hear people like, oh, you're using a bunch of big words, like y'all's dad, like, love your dad. He's like, hold on a minute. He's like, can you slow it down and just
Keep
like
it bottom shelf. I'm just a simple guy. And this is actually like a parallel to probably the foundational theme in my life, like a mantra that I like to live by is less is more.
Yeah.
Less is more. Keep the main things, as old Papa Bo Bowditch says.
Yeah.
And I would love to do a day of silence with you all sometime soon.
I would
on that
too.
note. Yeah, and because I believe anytime any word is spoken, it's a fragment of reality. And I do think our words can create awesome puzzle. Like all the words can create a cool puzzle.
That's our creative constraint right there that we decided to honor.
And there is also something to be said about silence as a whole picture kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a live experiment. Can we sit for 60 seconds of silence to close the video together?
Yeah, please.
I'm going to start the timer now.
I'll sit here.
And begin. was a powerful experience. I'm gonna honor the container. I invite anyone watching this to tag someone you believe could gain even this much value from the video.
Amen.
Signing off. This is the Mystic Misfits. This is Mr. Daniel Eisenman, the
Thank
Freedom
you,
Catalyst.
Thank you,
Yes.
guys.
Fun.
Thank you.
That's fun.
All right.
Love you
Love
guys.
y'all.
Maybe we'll see you in Maui.
Good
Peace.
night.